All right. Social influence. People influence others whether we're aware of it or not. You're an influence. You might say, nah, I'm kind of invisible. You know, I was in a counseling class and they were trying to label who everybody was in the class. I mean, in your family. And they said, you think about your family sitting down to eat. Where did everybody sit? And so we did that. My dad always sat right here. I always sat right here. Always. Everything in our house was always the same way. My dad was a routine fellow. And Mom was over here. Dave was here. Robert was here. Em was here. And then they said, who were you? What role did you fill? And they gave different roles. Hero, that's where all of you were. Clown, none of you were that. Invisible. Rescuer. Let's see, there's another one. Anybody seen this before? Who can help me out? What? No, I mean, you might have that idea. I was the rescuer. If there's a problem in our home, I was always trying to fix it, make peace. Okay. It didn't always work, but I tried. Oh, that's, I knew if I started going through this, I'd get it. Scapegoat. Poor Dave was a scapegoat. He was always the one getting in trouble and getting blamed for everything. Robert was the oldest one. He was the hero. I'm not sure which. Maybe he was invisible. He must have been invisible. Yes. Well, some of you may feel invisible. Nobody's invisible. Everybody influences somebody. Sometimes your refusal to be more of an influence is an influence. Okay? It's an element of influence. And we all influence one another. That's why the Bible is so clear on how we interact with people. Here's what you believe. Here's what you believe about God. Here's the truth. Now, here's how you live it out. And how do you live it out? With people. How do you show Christ-likeness? With people. That's what matters. I mean, what else really matters? Okay. So we're all changed for better or worse. Group-oriented societies more readily affirm the power of the group. Individualistic societies tend to underestimate the power of social influence. What's America?
Individualist.
Yes, we are. I think we might be starting to be a little more group-oriented. I'm not sure. But we're pretty individualistic. Don't tell me what to do. Don't group me in. I'm an individual. Don't put me in that class, you know, whatever. But other societies are group-oriented. They like to do things as groups. They think as this community. And so in those communities, and I think a lot of the, I think most of the Central and South American countries are group-oriented. Do you think so? Central, South America. I think the Mideast is typically group-oriented. I think most, if not all of the, at least a lot of the countries in Africa are group-oriented. Really, it's the Western world that tends to be individualistic. Japan, China, especially Japan is very group-oriented. And so it's kind of the Western mindset that tends to be very individualistic. And we tend to underestimate the power of social influence, and yet the advertisers that were mentioned a while ago, they understand it. They're going to influence the masses, and they spend millions and millions of dollars to do it. Now, what's the Bible say about social influence? I'm not going to take time to read well, yeah, I will read some of these in a little bit, but let me just give you the points first of all. Christianity itself, the evidence for Christianity is first and foremost found in how you treat others. I think a lot of people miss that point. 1 John is very clear to say that if you're born again, if you say you love God, you will love people. And says if you don't, you're a liar. That's fairly plain. We're commanded to love. We're commanded to treat others fairly and equally. I actually read that passage in chapel yesterday about the wealthy person walking in and getting the seat of honor. And then value people in different abilities and callings. 1 Corinthians 12 talks about different people in the church, our different roles, our different gifts. And we're to value everybody. You're not supposed to say, you know, what's with that person? They're just an ear. All right, well, if you don't value your ear, cut it off. You don't value your eye, pluck it out. Not really. Please don't. It'd be terrible to do that in class. And so we're to value others' abilities and callings. We're to look out for others' welfare. If you want an interesting study, go through Romans chapter 14 through the first 6 verses of Romans 15 and just make a list of how you're supposed to treat other people. How do you make decisions based on the influence on other people? I went through that list at a camp meeting one time in a Bible study, and I rattled some people. I had somebody say, I just couldn't believe you were saying those things. And I just was listing them with the reference. I was kind of behind on my time, so I wasn't reading the verses. That was a mistake. Okay, just like it might be today. But this person said, I got my Bible out and I started reading it. I said, he's wrong. I said, everything you said was right there in the Scripture. I said, well, thanks. I mean, this is a Bible study. You're supposed to be teaching the Scripture. It was like they couldn't believe it. That's right there in the Scripture, how you're supposed to react to other people. If you want to read that passage. Okay? Our influence is powerful, and others' influence upon us is powerful. 1533 there in 1 Corinthians is the one that has that strange King James language, evil communications corrupts good manners, evil associations corrupt behavior. Okay? We're influenced by others. If that becomes our identity. Now, Jesus ate with the publicans and sinners, and he was accused of being a wine-bibber and a glutton. But who was in control of the influence? The Lord. Jesus was. When I was trying to get the attention of my peers and get back into the group, who was in control of the influence? Wasn't me. I got caught on that one time with my pastor. He told me that I wasn't influencing them, so, and he was right. Our Christianity is evidenced in our love for others. Here's the Scripture. We know that we have passed from death unto life because we love the brethren. He that loveth not his brother abideth in death. Now, does that sound like the Christian? Abiding in death? What keeps you, what lets you know that you're not abiding in death? Love. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God. Is that evidence of Christianity? Not only they're born of God, they know God. He that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. And we have known and believed the love that God hath to us. God is love, and he that dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in him. Whosoever believeth that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone that loveth him that begat loveth him also that is begotten of him. I'm not sure why the lower case on some of those words for God is in there. Commanded to love. Hereby perceive we the love of God, because he laid down his life for us. We ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. If God so loved us, we ought also to love one another. And I like this. You've heard it's been said, you should love your neighbor, hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you. That's easy. Nobody has a problem with that. You curse me, I'm going to bless you. No problem. No, this is not the natural response. This is a Christ-like response. Okay? But I say to you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For his example is, he makes the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, so what? It's a little modern paraphrase there. Do not even the publicans the same? Ye salute your brethren only. What do ye more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Perfect in love. You love everybody.